Hi guys, Chris from Landscape Plus, and today we're going to be doing a pondless waterfall from Aquascapes.
So we're building a pondless waterfall for a primary school. It's going to be for a Zen garden, so we've marked out our area to start with and decided where the head of our waterfall is going to be, and then yeah, it's going to go from the corner out, and then we're going to plant up around it with some sensory plant. So here what we're doing is we're going to lay out the tops of the aqua blocks, and then that will mark out our excavation for the reservoir. When we're marking it out, we try and leave about 4 inches, so 100 mil around the outside of the excavation, which then gives us space to backfill, and if you know, we can make sure that our excavation is nice and square. So now we've started the excavation. The guys are going to go down 18 inches total. Each aqua block, including the full size, is 9 inches, which then gives us 9 inches of clear space to create a waterfall into the reservoir. So now what we're doing is we're just putting the aqua blocks back in to make sure that our ground's nice and level and our aqua blocks are level. We can then put more weight on each aqua block, and then we'll mark up for our pump vault and dig out a section deeper for our pump vault.
You were thinking about putting the pump vault there because you're going to come in here, but now we're going to change it over. Why are you doing that?
So the reason why is because where the pipe comes out the side, what we want to do is keep that as far away from our entry point as possible, really, because when the pipe comes out, we'll show you later, but we want to keep it as flat as possible as it comes out. So if we keep that away, it just prevents leaks in the future. Right, so what we're doing here now is we're putting the pump vault in because that needs to go down deeper. You want to make sure the pump vault's nicely lined up with the back of your aqua blocks. So take this aqua block out and we'll spray around the pump vault so we know where our next excavation needs to be. So what we want to make sure is that this height is ground height, and then the aqua block can sit on top of the pump vault like so. The next step is putting the underlayment in. So we're going to underlay our excavation, and then we'll put the liner in, and then we'll add another layer of underlay on top of that. So you just want to make sure this is nice and flat and tight to the corners. The idea is when we put the aqua blocks back in, they're nice and flat on top.
Right, let's go. We've got the hole dug, we've got the pump vault in, ready, everything's lined up nicely now. Yep. What's the plan next?
So we'll get the liner over and move the liner into place, put the aqua blocks back in, pump vault back in, and then we'll backfill, which we'll show you in a second. We'll backfill from opposing sides to make sure everything's nice and tight. From that, we'll then move our soil and create our berm.
So when you say a berm, Scott, what do you mean by a berm?
So if we look at the pile as it is now, if we dug into this to create a water feature, it looked like a volcano with water bubbling out the top of it. Well, what we want to do is try and mimic a hillside almost, a natural bank in the ground. So what we'll do is we'll start from over here, we'll then bring that berm around and have the water feature coming down off the top.
As you can see, guys, we're just moving this liner into place. We've got quite a lot, we've gone for the one piece, so what we'll do is we'll get it into the right kind of place.
So we're just gently putting the liner into all the holes, into our pump vault hole, trying to get it to fit as nicely as possible. So now we've got the liner in, we've folded it into all the corners, and then we're going to put underlayment over the top. The reason we put the underlayment over the top is it's just cheap insurance. With our systems, you don't want to get any leaks. It's not as easy to find because everything's covered with boulders. Sometimes those boulders are really heavy. It means you have to get a machine back in to move those boulders out, and it can just open up a can of worms and cost you a lot of money when underlay is not that expensive per square metre to use. So now we've got Barney on top of the aqua blocks. He's pulling all the liners and the underlays tight, so then we can just backfill behind. With the backfill, you want to use like a free draining soil, so some nice sort of 10mm screen or even 20mm screen soil. Really what we want to do here is just make sure those aqua blocks are nicely compact. So now all the sides are backfilled, I'm going to start pulling the underlay out and the liner, and that will leave your reservoir fully compact. We're now backfilled around everywhere. We've checked to make sure our aqua blocks are nice and level. So we're just going to start by marking out where we want our stream to go in. Now we're moving on to rock placement. This is quite an artistic thing, so it's whatever you feel is best. It's kind of, if you like a stone, then place it in. The biggest things to note is obviously we want to hide the liner. So the boulders that you do put in, make sure that they're of a certain size, that they come above ground height, so you can tuck liner and stuff and hide it behind. So at the moment we're using the pebbles just to help hold our stones in place, and then what we'll do is we'll compact those pebbles with our hands. After, we'll use what's called a bib liner to cover those pebbles up, and it will stop the water from tracking behind the stones. So what we're doing now is we're building the second waterfall up the stream. When we're selecting the rocks for what we call a spill rock, so when you build sort of a basic stream and waterfall, you want a frame rock, spill rock, and then another frame rock, and that's the general principle. But what we want to try and do when we're selecting those rocks is finding frame rocks and spill rocks that are together. So like this one here, you've got this side of it acts as your frame rock, and then this lower part will be the spill rock, and then we'll put another frame rock here, and water will come from our stream down and over this. But this is almost a perfect frame rock and spill rock, really, to just make it look more natural.
So we're just going to dig the trenching now for the pipe work. So we've got 2-inch flex pipe work, so it's going to come out of the side there. We're just going to dig it in here, curve it round to the top of the spillway.
So we're working on the pipe work now. So this is a 2-inch pipe from Aquascape. I've already cleaned the pipe and got the glue. So this is Christie's Red Hot Blue Glue. So what we'll do is get a nice amount on the sponge and put it in the connection for the dual union check valve, and then we'll also put a good amount just to let you know, and then push that in, just hold it. Because of the thermo reaction, it can push itself out, so you just want to hold it there for 30 seconds. Right, so we're moving on to tucking the liner. What you want to make sure is your underlay is not going over your liner, because it will just wick water and you'll empty the feature. And then when we tuck the liner, you want to pull it up. We can, if I grab some soil, we can fill that up with some soil, and that will keep the liner nice and tight up against the rock. And as you pull that tight, fold it over, pull it in nice and tight to the rock. So we're now foaming the waterfall. The reason we foam is because we want as much water coming over the spill lip as possible rather than going down underneath. So the main things you want to look for is any small gaps in the stones. So we'll foam in here. So we're now on to installing the spillway. There's multiple ways you can install this. You can either have it so it sits up like so, and you put a boulder over the top. So what we do is we bury it into the water feature. Once you've figured out where you want to put it, get your liner, draw a little hole, just rub around the threads, and it will draw onto the liner. So you can see the little, you might not be able to see it, but there's a little ring on there. And then really carefully, you want to get a sharp blade and then cut a circle out. So, yeah, so what we do now is we feed the pipe through the threads, through the liner to the back side, and then put your solid washer on outside the liner and push that. So now we're cutting the pipe to length. So you want to find where your pipe connector is and measure it where you want your pipe to go and cut it. Awesome, and then just give it a You want to make sure it's nice and clean. So you want to get your Christie's red hot blue glue, very similar to like we did for the pump. So you want to go on the inside of the pipe connector and then around the outside of the pipe. So just make sure that goes in, and again holding it just until it goes off. So when we're turning on the waterfall for the first time, we want to be looking round at all of our tucked liner and looking for if we have any low edges, any leaks anywhere. We've tested and we found this was low here, so we had to lift the liner up. And then you can also have sort of controlled leaks. So where we've got a narrower waterfall here, we might have some water seeping around the sides. So we've created this bog planting area. So then we can put things like bog primula in there, and they'll survive quite well in the stones.
So we're on the final bits now. We're just kind of filling up the basin with the last few bits of pebbles. Again, just to cover all the mechanical stuff, try and hide anything we can see. And it just dampens the bit of, dampens the water coming down, just stops all the splash. Just makes it look really nice as well. And there we have it. We are nearly finished on this Pondless Waterfall build.